Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is Transfers Live. I don't know why you're laughing. It's not even remote.
It's funny. It is funny. Look up. Look at the camera.
We're getting some great direction now, producer Cam. This is Transfers Live, the second episode ever of Transfers Live. Joining me, as always,
as always,
2 out of 2 is Alex Baggers. Well, we'll be looking at all the latest Manchester United related transfer news, all the sort of breaking stories, the stories that are doing the round late at night. Obviously, stories that we've had this morning, the paper talk, and ones that have moved on a little bit, and what's been going down with the latest news around Manchester United and potential comings and goings as well, because there's stories for both sides, for players that could be leaving and players that could be coming in. Now, one report that's sort of been doing the rounds over the last few hours, started from Italy, I think it's Tutto Sport had it in Italy, was about N'Golo Kante. Now, when I remember doing this in the paper talk about 2 weeks ago, because the odds on N'Golo Kante coming to United was slashed. They went for from 10 to 1 to 2 to 1 on or something. And it was like these stories emanating that United were in for him. And I was a bit like, really? I can't see it happening. I don't think Chelsea would sell him. And would we really go for him? Now, Tutto Sport are saying that could happen, that United could be in for him. Now, Inter were interested, and apparently just...
Of course they are.
Yeah, Inter they love a player from the Premier League, as we know. They love a player from Manchester United. Now, reports are that they've had a bid rejected involving Christian Eriksen. So, yeah, this was literally this was like about an hour ago that Chelsea rejects Inter offers for Kante, including Eriksen in part exchange, because, as you may have watched from the documentary we've all seen, that, it wasn't that long ago.
He wanted a new challenge.
He wanted a new challenge.
He wanted to leave. He's not going back, is he? Oh,
he wanted to get out of London, so he went to Milan for 6 months.
Wow.
So there's talk that, well, there's not talk, it looks like Inter are in for him. And reports from Italy that United are going to join the fray, and he's available for 54 million. And the reports in, I think, Tutto Sport and a couple of others were saying that United would be willing to go for him. Baggers, I mean, massive pinch of salt with this one. You'd have him, wouldn't you? But would you have him? Because he's 29 as well. He's not an integral part of Frank Lampard's plans. I think that's why there's rumours that he could be on his way. They've got other options there as a defensive midfielder. You'd have him, but can you see that happening? Could you see N'Golo Kante coming to Old Trafford?
I don't know. It's a bit of an odd one, because this is, like I said, it's been doing the rounds the last few weeks where Kante to United has kind of been brought up, and of course I think you definitely take him. I think that he's been in, apart from City and Liverpool, the other the kind of peripheral teams that have won the league, Chelsea and Leicester, he was the major part in both them teams, and I think that he would slot in perfectly for United alongside. You've all seen Paul Pogba for France when Kante plays with him. It kind of frees Paul Pogba up. It seems like it works as a good partnership, in whether it's a 2 or playing in a 3 at Manchester United, and I think it would work really well. You're right, it looks like Lampard doesn't fancy him, which, whether that is a bit of fitness, this might be a bit of fitness, he's had a few injuries this year and things like that.
Yeah.
I think they're more wanting to get shift on Jorginho. I don't think he's the one that that Frank Lampard wants in the team, but if he wants to get rid of both of them, I definitely think Kante, if you can get him at a decent price, if you can get him at, the report there, 60 million euros isn't ridiculous.
It's like, it makes sense. It very much, to me, this reminded me a little bit. And the reason why you might look at it and go, it's unlikely but not impossible, is because of the Nemanja Matic situation.
And Mata as well. That's two players that...
That's like when Chelsea do want to move players on, they have sold them to us in the past. Like you say, Juan Mata, who was their player of the season, the previous season before we got him, and Nemanja Matic, who was a Premier League winner, they were happy to sell us those players because they didn't felt like they need him anymore. Yeah. So you think that maybe, does Kante fit into that bracket, which, talking about N'Golo Kante a few years ago, you thought never, not at the age of 29.
No.
But it's one of those where you think it's a possibility. And I think, if you look at, like you said, the midfield we've got, the one area you think that midfield could need strengthening would be an out-and-out defensive midfielder, because Van der Beek, I think he can play there, but I don't think he is a defensive midfielder, is he?
No, and I think Kante can play in every game. You put him in the big games and things like that, and then you can play him week in, week out, whereas I think we talked a bit about yesterday, the Van der Beek, Fernandes, Pogba midfield 3, I think is going to be for the games that we should walk over teams, and it's kind of a luxury for us. And I think Kante fits in there straight away, whether behind those two, whether even in the big games when you maybe put someone like Freddie McTominay next to him, and there's definitely options there. But I don't know. I don't know whether it could happen. But like you said, the Mata and Matic one, where, you know, people say, well, they were going towards the end of the career. Mata was still only 29 when we signed him.
Mata still, I mean, we broke our transfer record at the time for him. He still had a lot of miles left on him. I think Matic was just about to turn 29 on it.
Yeah, I think...
He's 28 until he's 29.
Yeah, the Matic one was definitely, he's out the door. He's kind of been done there. The Mata one was a bit stranger, but I think the thing to look at as well is that... I
don't know what I'm listening to now. Sorry, someone playing some noise in the background.
With Chelsea, is people forget that they've gone through that change of managers where they went from Mourinho to Kante and now Lampard. 3 very, very different managers. You know, Mourinho was the one that... Kante was the one that had Kante in there, and it worked very well in that defensive system. Lampard's wanting to play a bit more expansive football, like we are, but he's found other players that fit in there at the minute. Whether... I still think he'd fit in at United though, so I'd take him. If we can get him for that price, you'd take him.
We'd have to see. It's one to file under. Keep track of it. He sort of did the rounds a little bit, that story, and it's come back again. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
There's a comment there. Don't forget Sarri. He came in, and that was
Didn't
kind
he
of...
shift him out to the wing, Sarri, with Sarri ball.
He moved him further forward. And
yeah, I remember they had that. They won the first 6 games under Sarri. Yeah. And Kante, I think, scored a couple of goals, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's revolutionised this Chelsea team." No, and then the wheels came off, and when they got battered at the Etihad, was it 5 or 6-0? Then it was like, Kante was out on the wing or whatever, and the De Bruyne and whoever, or no, it wasn't De Bruyne, it was Bernardo Silva was tearing him a new one in the middle, and you're like, what are you doing? So, I mean, he is one of those sort of unsung heroes in Kante. Yeah. You looked at him when he was at Leicester when he won the league. Everyone was talking about the likes of Mahrez and Vardy, but he was the engine there. Yeah. He went to Chelsea, won the league again. Everyone was like, oh, you know, talk about Eden Hazard, but he was a massive part of that. And when France won the World Cup, people talk about likes of Pogba and Griezmann and Mbappe, but Kante was a big part of their success. I'm just looking at some of the comments. Oh, that United family saying hello to Jay on the big telly and baggers. A lot of people up and down. A lot of people saying love it if we're going to get him. Don't think it's going to happen. Joseph says I want David Alaba instead of Kante.
Many things. I want many things.
Someone else saying if we played Kante and Matic in the big games, any team would find it extremely hard to get through us. Yeah. I mean, that was Chelsea's midfield, sort of fulcrum, wasn't it, a few years ago? But it's just, I mean, it's one of those. There seems to be too many obstacles with this one, but stranger things have happened. I mean, if you could get him and you could have him in the midfield, it gives us another option as well. We've seen that we've got other options, but I mean, N'Golo Kante is still a top quality midfielder, and he's only 29. It's just a question of, would Chelsea sell him, and would we have that money? Because we have been linked with other midfielders as well, haven't we? We've been linked with Thiago Alcantara, which I'm going to get into in a minute as well, because Thiago Alcantara was a player we were first linked with in about 2013, wasn't it? It was
the Moyes' first summer, wasn't it?
It was Moyes' first summer, and apparently the big signing was going to be... Yeah.
Had flashbacks, I got rid of it.
Yeah, Moyes came in, and if anyone digs out the videos from when we were full-time Devils and when Moyes was coming in, we were all getting behind him. Some pretty cringe-worthy stuff, I'm not going to lie. Thank God I didn't sing anything like every single one of us will stand by David Moyes. He came in. We were linked with Thiago Alcantara. It looked like it was going to happen. Then it sort of went a bit cold. Then it was up and down all summer. Yeah. He ended up going to Bayern Munich. Now this summer's come around, and it looked like he was going to go to Liverpool, but all of a sudden United were rumoured to be in for him. There was sort of talk that he was willing to come to United. We spoke to Florian Plettenberg, who covers Bayern Munich for Sport 1, and he said that he felt Thiago would be happy to come to Old Trafford. United is still rightly considered the biggest club in England by the Germans, and he felt also that he may be a little bit reluctant to go to Liverpool because the midfield options they have, which seemed a little bit strange to me because I think United's midfield stands up against Liverpool's actually.
I think so.
So I don't see why you go, oh, I'm not going to Liverpool, because I think he was saying if they sold Naby Keita, he might go there, which I thought that could happen. But now there's talking of Wijnaldum going, and the latest sort of news on that is Konstantin Eckner. I think he's a German journalist. I hope so with that name, and me, don't want to get that wrong. Saying that Thiago and Liverpool have an agreement. Bayern demand over 30 million euros, while Liverpool's current offer remains 25 million. In my opinion, it would be great to see what the player could do under Jurgen Klopp. So there's a €5 million
I think
gap there between
They're just going to do it, aren't they?
I mean, you'd be very surprised if after that it was the €5 million they couldn't get a deal over the line.
And I think maybe this is a little bit of... I think United are definitely interested. I think there's another midfielder on the list. I think that a defender and a forward is definitely United's priority now that we've got Van der Beek in. But I think that the Kante rumour, this rumour is that if one of these comes available, that would make our midfield a lot better. You know, either of them go in replace of Matic and are a lot better. That's guaranteed. I think if that's a possibility, I think they'll do it. I think it's the same thing about centre-half as well. I think that if you can get an Upamecano now, we'll do it. But if it's not going to happen, it's not the biggest worry. I think we are kind of getting dragged into this a little bit. I think Liverpool do want it. I think Bayern are just going, do you know what, if people throw United's name about a bit more chance of them throwing them.
It doesn't seem a solid offer on our part anywhere, does it? It doesn't seem, with Thiago, it doesn't seem like we've gone in and gone, right, you go, okay, there's real interest here, or we've really gone for it. It just seems to be a little bit of sort of paper talk, for want of a better word, and suggestions. And the fact we've been interested in him in the past, the fact that he's such a quality player, he's just won the treble, obviously played the Champions League final, and is available, I think, for €30 million. Then, it's a deal that in many ways would make sense, but 29-year-old, and also the fact that Liverpool are so close to getting him. Don't forget as well, guys, hit like on the video. I'm just going to get in some of the comments. Someone says if we get Kante, we'll get the best of Pogba. I think we're getting the best of Pogba with Bruno.
I think so, yeah.
I think Bruno and Matic.
I think Matic makes a big difference. I think that you've seen with Pogba all the way through. I think that the first season when he played, it was Carrick and Herrera when Mourinho came in. It was Carrick, Herrera and Pogba. They looked a lot better together. And then towards the end, when Matic and Bruno, even Matic and Herrera when Oli first came in, that seemed to let Pogba do what he wanted to do. People that were working around him, but at the same time, quality around him as well, makes a massive difference to Paul Pogba.
That United family, chain baggers for Sky Sports News. Thank you for that. But someone's saying Bale can be done. Yeah, I saw some of these Bale rumours. I wasn't even going to go into that because I just thought, not really going to happen, is it? Bale just to me just stinks of another Alexis Sanchez. And I just can't. I don't think it's a consideration for him to come back to the Premier League and for us to go for him. I just don't see that happening.
The only thing is whether it could be almost how Inter have dealt with Sanchez, where they kind of go, well, do you know what? You're going to pay half the wages for a bit, and we'll see how it goes for a year. That might be the only option with Bale. I think there was rumours today that I saw something around him going to Tottenham, and that Madrid would be happy to pay 50% of the wages, or leave.
Yeah, I saw that. Tottenham go back to Tottenham. Yeah.
I'll pay 50% of the wages and get him. If United got that same kind of offer, which I don't think we'll get off Madrid, I don't think Madrid are going to say, you spend a lot of money on players. We're not going to pay half of his wages for you. No, I don't think that's going to happen. So I think that I don't see that one happening. Gareth Bale is still going to be a quality player. You can still see him for Wales.
Does he have that desire, though, do you feel?
No.
So come to the Premier League. Well, you answered it. No. I mean, it'd be great if he went to Spurs for the sequel to the series they've just done. Imagine that. You just finished sixth, whoever it is, and then the next season, Gareth Bale, one of your best ever players, returns to the club. Yeah. That would make that season even better than the first one. That'd be the best sequel since Godfather Part 2. But I don't know. Bale to United, again, it seems like you throw United's name in there, it sells you a few papers. Maybe Bale's agent's happy about that one because it makes people think, oh yeah, I just don't see that one coming in. No. But as always, we'll keep monitoring it. It just sounds like a little bit like pure speculation, and just the fact that he's such a well-respected player, such a big sort of star, that a club like Manchester United does seem a good fit.
There's a comment there saying Bale's such a wasted talent too. He's won 4 Champions Leagues, hasn't he?
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind wasting my talent if I won 4 Champions Leagues.
4 Champions Leagues, wasted. I think he's done all right. I mean, I think he's going to have he's going to look back a bit and go, do you know, the last couple of years haven't been great. But he scored winning goals in Champions League finals. He's still done all right. I don't think he's the biggest wasted talent out there. No. I think he's done all right.
Do you know what? You hear that about Ross Murphy. I love Ross Murphy. Good to see you again, mate. He says, don't need Gareth Bale. We left the overpaid Galactico bandwagon bus ages ago. Good. Harsh, but probably fair. Yeah. Just on the Thiago story as well, Christian Falk, who is he's up there with Fabrizio Romano when it comes to sort of Bayern Munich and most football moves, to be fair. He's very much a sort of Tier 1 transfer guru. He gave an update on Thiago, and he was just sort of quoting DT Hamann, who says, "I'm sure that Thiago will play for Liverpool next season." Hamann obviously has, connections to Germany as well. But the fact that Falk is retweeting that shows he's given a bit of a weight to it as well. Yeah. So it does seem that Thiago is going cold for Manchester United. Excuse me, too much Pepsi Max, Jerry. I'm not getting sponsored by them, by the way. I just love drinking it all the time.
Can't have too much.
Yeah. Someone else is saying Sancho, Van der Beek, I think that is Kante, Upamecano, good window. That would be a great window.
What a window that would be.
That would be amazing, Mike C. I don't see it happening.
If we get 2 of the 3, I reckon it'll be all right as well, to be honest. 2 of the 3 and someone...
Oh, sorry, producer Cams just sent us something. Luka Modric, I played golf with Gareth Bale once. Never again. He's a bad teacher. Thanks for that. That's really useful to this discussion.
There's a lot of comments about Bale's golf. I think he should.
Well, you are our resident golf expert.
Well done. Well done.
Censored myself there.
Censored yourself there. Yeah. I think he's better playing in Spain. You don't want to come here for the winter if you're going to just sit and play golf. It's no good. So stay in Spain, mate. That's what I'd be doing if he's playing golf.
But listen, Baggers knows his golf. Don't know much about football, but he knows a lot about golf.
Plenty about golf.
M. Khan says, Connor Cody to United.
No.
That just stinks of he's got an England cap. Let's get carried away. Decent centre half.
Massive Liverpool fan.
Massive Liverpool fan. And I don't see Wolves selling him. I don't see us going for him. I don't see him particularly. I know Manchester United's obviously a big step up from Wolves. I don't think he's particularly itching for a move. So I don't think that one will happen. Someone else, what about Tarkowski next to Maguire? James Tarkowski. I'm not a big fan of James Tarkowski from Burnley, if I'm being brutally honest.
I think he's okay.
Out from Ashley Jenkins.
I think he's okay. But
does he improve us?
No. I don't think he's better than Lindelof or Bailly.
No.
In the slightest. I think that, there's a lot of players that can do well at these clubs that are, you watch them and it's a lot of winning headers and last-ditch defending and everything looks great, but it's a different ball game playing for the bigger clubs and playing in teams that are going to have a lot of the ball. It's completely different. I don't think so. Someone
just commented there. Sally notes, right, Tellez would improve United massively. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Tellez because this rumour has been sort of doing the round. Alex Tellez, the Brazilian left back. Now there was stories that United were offered him. We know we've spoken about this in the past. I mean, he scores a lot of goals, gets a lot of assists, very much an attacking left back. I think he scored 13 goals last season for Porto, which is ridiculous for a left back, or left wing back, whatever you want to call him. I know he takes set pieces, but even so, still. That story keeps going, keeps sort of, I don't say gathering momentum, but it's not going away. Yeah. We obviously know the Sergio Reguilon story as well, we spoke about last night. Tell us, do you think there's anything in that he's been offered to United? Do you think United are going to take that?
I think there is. I think there's probably something in it. But I think that one of the big thing is, being 27 years old. If you're 27 in the Portuguese league and been there for a while now, and whilst he's doing okay, he's not doing what Bruno Fernandes was doing and scoring 30 goals from midfield. He's doing good, and he would probably be as good as, if not better than what we've got. But I do have the question of how much he'd improve us, and at that age, why is he still there for so long?
Do you think, right, I get where you're coming from. I mean, he had a loan spell at Inter, didn't he?
Yeah.
And, it obviously didn't work out that well because he sort of ended up going to Porto, no disrespect, but I think if it had worked out in Inter, he would have stayed in and sort of gone to a bigger club or, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yeah. So Porto, which is a big club in Portugal, but the Portuguese league isn't the sort of top tier league, if you will. So he had that spell in Italy, it didn't quite work out. Do you think that maybe, in almost in a way in Bruno Fernandes, people sort of give you that one chance, or if you don't shine straight away in Serie A, people go, oh, he's not cut out for it. And then you've got to go back to Portugal and sort of rebuild yourself. And maybe he's done that a little bit, do you feel?
Maybe. And I think it's going forward, obviously, 13 goals. There's going to be more quality. I think we are missing someone.
Stephen Alston there saying, evening, lads.
Evening.
Hi, all right, mate?
I think that definitely going forward would definitely improve us. But you've still got to have someone that can defend. And I think that for the same kind of price as what we're talking about, Reguilon, who I'm still going to say wrong every single time.
Not like me. I always get my pronunciation
bang
right.
On. I think he's a better option. Younger player, coming out of Spain, which is definitely a better league. If I had the choice of two, I would go for Reguilon. But I think that, and again, I'd like another defender, but I think a forward is more important.
He's kicking off from us. What are you laughing at, Jay? We're really going to have. I'm
are we going to do
happy.
that?
Do you know what I mean? We're going to have a row now, Mr. Stephen Howson. Someone, Oliver Edwards says, we don't need signings. Our under-21s beat Salford 6-0. Yeah, better comment. We'll see how we get on the first game of the season. You know what?
Yeah, let's not.
I think that whilst that was a good result for under 21s, I know that Ethan Laird picked up an injury last night when we were doing this. That game was going on, and I hope that's not too serious. I'm not sure what the update is on there, but I know he's had injury problems in the past.
Disappointing because obviously we talked briefly about Delo last night that maybe he could be out the door, and that Ethan Laird's got the chance to sort of fight with Brandon Williams for that second choice right back spot, behind Wan-Bissaka, and maybe push them, because again there is some questions about Wan-Bissaka going forward. Maybe Williams goes in the right, does a little bit better, doesn't have to cut inside as much. Laird, everyone said, is streaks ahead of them in terms of quality going forward, and I think that if he gets another injury, it is disappointing to see.
It is. Ross Murphy says, can see Medjugorje Hannibal breaking into her first team debut. Eventually, yeah. Don't know when. I'm not sure.
I think cup games. I think he'd potentially get into the cup games, but again, very, very young player, and he's one of them that's got that sort. He's a smaller build kind of player, to go in and try and play, because it's one of them. If we play against a smaller team a lower down team in the cup, probably be a more physical game, and it's probably not.
Stephen Howson just said Hannibal too soon. Won't happen this season yet. I
think he's one of them. He maybe gets 1 or 2 games if. Early rounds of the Carabao Cup, early rounds of the FA Cup. If we've when we smash our Champions League group and that's done, play a game in that. But apart from that, I don't really see it.
James Bang says, sell Romero, Fosu Mensah, Jones, Smalling, Pereira. We'll get to Smalling in a minute. Pereira, Matt, Lingard for a total of 60 million and invest into Reguilon and Sancho. Kind of makes sense. Also, don't forget to hit like, guys. Give us a like if you're watching the video. Do get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about the academy, about the signings, about the link with Kante. Do you think that's going to happen? About Thiago, is he now destined to go to the Scousers? Reguilon or Telles or Shaw or Williams? You all right?
It's just Thiago going to the Scousers is going to be annoying because he's better than all their midfielders.
Where is Adam McCullough? Did he leave this channel? He was on the other day, wasn't he?
He was on. Yeah, he was here yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. 2 days ago. Yeah. He's on today for Premier League predictions.
It's been on twice in 2 days. We get him on more. We do love Adam McCullough, but no, far from leaving the channel. He's been on it every day. No. I'd sign Giroud as backup. No. Listen, we need to get off this Chelsea reserves bus as it is. Like, Kante's one thing, but I don't think they'll sell us Giroud. No. But any Sancho news today? JH7HD is asking. The Sancho news is there's no news. So, we can tell you about it. I can repeat myself. This is pretty much what we do most paper talks when we have to talk about it. Yep. Is that there's been a bit of impasse. We talked an impasse even. We spoke about it last night. The update was that his agent fees and terms and all that was sorted. If you can even call it an update, because I know it was Romano and people like that, but we'd sort of heard this before. Just something that's coming up here from. I don't know who that's from, but United Report have got it anyway, saying that United have ambitions to sign Jadon Sancho, so he's ready for the 2021 Premier League opener against Crystal Palace on September the 9th.
That's what you want.
They've got it from Dagbladet FA Phil.
Do you want to click on that one, Cam? It's from.
Oh, that's good. It's all in Scandinavian.
There you go.
Reports in Scandinavia suggest that United could be ready to buy Jadon Sancho in time for the Premier League opener.
Sometimes I don't like our producer.
Producer Cam is now showing us pictures of donkeys. In fact, it's really useful that.
Thank you.
So, in answer to your question, I don't really think there is an update. People are saying that we could get him before September the 19th. We know what's happening with Jadon Sancho. United want him. He wants to come. Dortmund are willing to sell him for the right price.
Yep.
They want pretty much all the money up front. United want to stagger it slightly. The latest we were hearing was United want to pay 90 million up front and 18 million, was it?
Yeah.
Later on, as a sort of not still staggered, but if he hits certain targets.
incentives for him.
Sorry, that was the word I was looking for.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's and I still think they're probably Manchester United incentives. So it's whether United win X, Y, and Z.
Red Rhubarb says 2040 we're still signing Sancho. It feels like, doesn't it? It feels like we'll be here for another 20 years. But I mean, we know that Sancho's been the main target. We will keep you posted. But at the moment, there isn't a lot of news on that. And what we don't want to happen, we were talking about this last night, is that we don't want to miss out on other targets, other players that we do need, because we're all too focused on Sancho. And we saw it with Van der Beek. We managed to get that deal over the line, whilst we're obviously still negotiating or looking at Sancho, and hopefully we can still do it with some others. Just
over on Facebook.
Facebook, we're live on Facebook as well, and on the Facebook comments, Adam O'Breezer, who lives in Swindon, says Sancho will sign on deadline day. Reguilon is a must-buy, and I'd love to see someone come in as backup for Martial for when Ighalo leaves. If Martial plays every game, he will be knackered. What do you think of that? What do you think about the situation with Ighalo?
Ighalo.
His younger brother Ighalo leaving in January, and Martial, not even Martial, Mason, Martial and Rashford. Do you think we need more?
I think you probably need someone else. Someone else up there. I think Ighalo is doing the job at the minute as being that. I said, if you bring in Sancho and that kind of frees up Greenwood a bit more to play maybe more games in his natural position as number 9, then maybe you aren't as worried. You know, you can maybe rotate Greenwood in for cup games, you can put him in for those. But if you have Greenwood and he's starting week in, week out as a right winger, he still needs some kind of break in there, in the same way that Martial's going to need a break in this. You know, if everything goes well, you're going to play 50, 60 games in a season. So you need some kind of rotation. If you bring in Sancho, that means that Greenwood can rotate in. He can play there. It means that Rashford can rotate in. Sancho could play on the left in some games. You've got Dan James in there as well. But
Dan James, just quickly, still thinks he's got a future. Yeah. We had a few comments last night about Dan James. No one's really mentioned him so far tonight. They might now.
No, I mean, he had a good performance for Wales of the night. He's got an assist in that game. I think that, you know, he's a good player. He does okay.
So I'm just laughing. M. Kansas, do you think Luke Shaw will be sold? He is boring.
Boring. Never thought about that, Luke Shaw, but maybe he is.
Off or on the pitch?
Off or on the field.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think he's going.
He's not going to get sold. The question is, will he start? Will he be first choice?
No, I think
Sergio regularly on.
No, I think I think he stays if you bring in any of them, because, like I said, I think Delow's more likely to leave, and then you're looking at right back instead for Brandon Williams. Yeah. Someone
said, we've got a couple. Dan James needs to go out on loan. We asked a little bit about Dan James. Someone else says Dan James needs another year. If he isn't up to the job, sell him. Dan James would shine if he had a run of games on the left wing. So mixed bag there of comments on Dan James. I still think the jury's out on him. He had a great start to his career, didn't he? At United, a couple of goals in his first few games. Then it sort of went downhill for a bit. Then he had a bit of a renaissance sort of towards the end, just before lockdown, I'd say. And then this crashed and producer Cam walked off.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really comments, don't we, though?
But with Dan James, I think that you're right. He had a great start to it, and considering everything that had gone on with him, with with his dad passing away just before the start of the season and things like that, to come in and start flying as he did. But I think that he kind of tailed off as the team kind of tailed off in the middle of the season as well. I think everyone forgets that we were pretty poor from about October through to Bruno coming in. We were pretty poor.
A real talisman during that time, didn't we? Guys, don't forget to hit like as well. Keep hitting the like button and the subscribe button, and get involved in the comments.
I think that he got brought in and was asked to do a job that I don't think he's ever going to do. I think that if you ask him to come on and press a team when they're tired, getting behind a team when they're tired, I think he's got that in him. But to ask him to create, go past people and be our creative outlet, he was never going to do that for Manchester United. So let's see how next year. I think he needs to work on some stuff. I think he needs to get better across the board in terms of his final product. But he's still a young player. It's not. I don't think his wages are ridiculous. It's not like we're holding on to someone that's on 200 grand a week that's doing that.
This is a good point. Chelsea need a keeper. So he says Romeo. I think he means Romero for Kante with a few million. Would you do a deal like that?
think so, yeah.
You would?
I would do, yeah. I think that...
It strengthens them where they need to be strengthened. I think Romero
and it
walks into
strengthens
that
us.
team, but it also strengthens us.
I think that... Do you know what? They're obviously looking for a keeper because I think they've completely
Kepa's
lost...
terrible,
Kepa's
isn't it?
done. I saw someone on Sky Sports trying to compare Kepa to David De Gea's early seasons and said that he just needs time.
The season where he won the Premier League in his second season?
Even the first season, he had a few bad games to start with.
Blackburn at Old Trafford.
To
this day.
And that was it. Once he got into it, I still remember the Community Shield with Phil Jones telling him how to elbow people as he's walking off the field.
I think he suffered as well, didn't he? Because Fergie sort of threw him under the bus a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Where he was like, "Oh, he's not having a great time. Lindegaard's going to come in."
Yeah.
Which obviously everyone jumps on.
Kepa's been here for 2 seasons now and has been dreadful.
And
can't catch a ball.
He almost does everything wrong, doesn't he, Kepa? Right? He can't catch it all. His shot stopping's gone out the window. He doesn't command his box very well. He argues with the manager. Do you remember when he refused to come off with Sarri and then didn't save any penalties and they lost the shootout? When you've got Willie Calabero, who's like the penalty king of Wembley. So yeah, I think if Chelsea do get a keeper, then they're going to be real contenders.
Yeah.
Someone's saying Jay looks knackered. Pissed myself laughing. Oh, thanks for that vote of confidence.
Brilliant.
See, I don't know why I read that out, to be honest with you. What are you reading it out for? Is Henderson's distribution better than De Gea? Someone is asking. I'll have to wait and see. I haven't seen enough of it to know.
I think it's different.
De Gea's distribution isn't great.
No, and I think it all depends on what you want at your keeper. I think that the role of a goalkeeper has changed in the time that De Gea's been at United. His distribution in terms of he can ping a decent ball and isn't that bad with the ball compared to City brought in Edison and Alisson, and Edison could probably walk into a midfield in some places. And I think you're asking of that of your goalkeeper a bit more now, where he's going to get more touch to the ball completely with his feet. So again, Henderson last season didn't have to do that much for Sheffield United. That wasn't how they were playing as much. No. He was sending longer passes out, and that was okay. Whereas now, let's see how he gets on.
Someone's asking there, Felix for. If Sancho deal doesn't happen, I don't think that's going to happen, do you?
He didn't go for 120 million.
Didn't he go for Atletico broke the bank for him, and then he's not really had the best season there.
No, he's been okay, but nothing.
No, I don't think that one. I mean, that's a good question though. Not necessarily about Felix, but if we don't get Sancho, you spoke earlier about you want to see rotation up front, you want to see options. Something. If you don't get Sancho, and this has been the question we've been debating on this channel for the last few weeks, if not longer, then do you go out for another Sancho-type young, exciting winger, or do you go for a stopgap like we did with Igalo, or do you just not? Or do you wait for Sancho?
I think the wait for Sancho, but you do think you need a stopgap. You need someone in there. I think that a loan of some sort would be the best option. I think that there was the Douglas Costa rumours bouncing around, and I think if this all properly breaks down in the next couple of weeks for Sancho, I think that players of that ilk, that are a bit older, you're going to want big wages for a season. That's going to be the point of it. But like we mentioned, Gareth Bale, Douglas Costa, I think they'll be put on. I think they're going to be the kind of players we look at to maybe get him in for 12 months, knowing that Sancho's the target for next summer. You take the hit on the wages for a year, but I think you need another option. Someone that can play on the wing, because I said it releases so many different options up front. It means that Rashford can play as a 9 now and again. It means Martial doesn't have to play every game. It means that Greenwood can play as a 9. It means that they can get a rest. I think you need to have someone that can play and on the right hand side, because at the minute we don't have someone who is comfortable on that right hand side.
No, Mason drifts in, doesn't he? He drifts into the centre, as you were mentioning earlier.
You can't. Rashford just won't play there. You tried him out there. It just doesn't fit. Dan James has filled in there, doesn't really do a job. Mata isn't a winger, so that's a completely different thing, but he's kind of played in that position. Lingard kind of played there when Ollie first came in, kind of drifted in from that right-hand side. But again, he was almost a number 10 when he was doing that. He was almost coming in. It's not going to be. We need someone that is comfortable on the right-hand side.
Juho999 says, Mason's not a right winger, he just plays better there than anyone else.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. That is it. Marcus isn't a right winger. He likes to click on his right. Martial's nailed down the number 9 position.
Yep.
Gallo isn't remotely a winger.
Yep.
And then Jesse's you mentioned there, he's a number 10 almost in it. Or,
he's just a hard work. He's just
played
it.
He can even play midfield, Jesse. Yeah. But at the moment, he's just all out of sorts. I know he scored a couple of goals towards the end of the season, but he's not had a great campaign at all. Ryan Robb said, if Sancho comes in, Greenwood would challenge Martial for the number 9 spot, and Bruno maybe could be tried on the right wing, and bring Van de Beek in the middle. What do you reckon?
Don't want Bruno out wide.
Can he play? He can play. I mean, he can play almost anywhere across the front.
I think he can.
Other than the striker.
I think we've become very narrow if you put Bruno out.
Yeah,
there. And we're narrow enough. I think we've not got that, and I think that you've seen that. I think we've mentioned Wan-Bissaka needs to improve. I think that Wan-Bissaka on that right hand side is someone that if you have someone good in front of him will look even better. But I don't think you can isolate him as much as we have done this season. I think you need a winger or someone on the right hand side.
Someone saying news just in: Stretford Paddock willing to accept a bid of 90 million for Ronaldo.
See, he wants to play on the left as well, though. So even if he does come in, he doesn't like it on the right hand side either.
Oh,
so
I hear about it. Paddock FC, honestly.
He doesn't like it on the right hand side either. You need a Louis, however, on the other side, he would fit on the right hand side.
Whoever that might see, we started here with these comments.
See, you started it.
Don't do it. Don't do it, mate. Guys, don't forget as well to hit the like button. Keep hitting that like button. Get involved in the comments. I think Murphy was making a point there that we got Mata when he was 2-time Chelsea Player of the Year in response to could we get Kante or other Chelsea player. It can be done if there's a loan deal. Who wants to see? Who knows? Sorry, but we'll have to wait and see. Van de Beek can play on the right a bit. It feels a bit like square pegs in round holes, doesn't it? If you're going to put him out there, shifting him out to the wing.
Van Hal.
It stinks of. I'm showing me AJ, but it stinks of Juan Sebastian Veron when we bought him, and he ended up playing a bit on the wing.
I was excited when I
he was literally the best midfielder on the planet, other than the ones we already have.
When was it? Was it 2002?
I think it was.
I was 9, and I was giddy as anything. Veron was in.
He was amazing. You were 4. He
basically
I was giddy. Delivered the Scudetto to Lazio.
I had a Veron shirt.
Yeah, came to United. The first couple of games was amazing, and then it all went a bit wrong. Raul Jimenez even. Question mark. I don't know. With someone was saying Adama Traore as well earlier. I don't see Wolves selling us anyone.
No, and I don't see. I think the Raul Jimenez one. I think the prices that you're looking at for him was into the 50-60 million for someone that is... Look, Martial is our number 9 now. That's been decided. That's how we're going to play. That's done. Unless you are vastly improving on him, we mentioned Haaland yesterday, unless you're bringing in a Haaland who is going to vastly improve on Martial as a number 9, I don't think it's worth spending 50-60 million. I think we're better almost getting the Igalos of this world that are willing to sit on the bench and do things like that. Maybe we get some of the youngsters coming in and can fit in that spot. You've got Greenwood who will. So I think if you get a right winger, it means that Greenwood can be the understudy to Martial for a lot of the season and can push him. So I think that I wouldn't spend that money on Raul Jimenez.
It's that United family in the comments there saying Emma loves that guy. I think she was talking about him on a video she did with Angelina as well, coming up on the channel. Yeah, I think she's a big fan. He's a good player, but as you've said, big money, difficult as well with Wolves. I would like to see someone though who came in who was different. Yeah. Because definitely. I mean, Sancho is essentially a similar-ish player to like Martial, to like Greenwood, to Rashford. He's quick, he's skillful, he gets in behind it, he runs at defenders, he likes to cut inside or drift out wide. He's the main sort of difference between perhaps Sancho and the likes of Martial or Rashford or even Greenwood is Sancho often is inclined to go out wide, where they're always looking to cut inside. That's their sort of MO. But it would be good to have someone who was completely different. So if you had someone who is big and strong and a bit of a target man, who can come on and, if you've got all these sort of youngsters running at you and you're having a nightmare, and then if they're not getting much joy, then you bring on someone who gets his head on things. Is that not what Igalo's
doing, though? Is that not what Igalo's there for? Is that kind of... Because
have we... I mean... I
don't know why.
I love Odin Igalo, but if we're being brutally honest...
Go on.
And I'm going to get hated here now for saying this. Get your likes in before I say this. Can you rely on Odin Igalo? Say Martial got injured for a long period, or for 2 months. Could you rely on Odin Igalo to play week in, week out in the Premier League as your striker?
I don't think so. No, I think you. Yeah, no, you can't have him in there.
Someone
No.
said sack Jane out. I knew that was going to go down like a lead.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can rely on him to score the big goals for you and be the number 9. I think you could, like I said, maybe rely on Mason Greenwood going through there. And then I said, if you have someone on the right hand side, that's where your worry is. Ighalo, it was strange to see at the end of the season when, and especially in the semi-final in Sevilla, how we didn't bring him on. We didn't gamble with Ighalo.
That's what I mean.
That's what's worrying me
and
a little
bit.
Bit.
Listen, if you don't like Odin Ighalo, you've got ice in your veins or there's something wrong with you, because he's just like...
He loves it.
He does love it, right? He loves it, he's great, and he's great to be, but... And he does do, a job in certain games. You remember against Laski's great goal in certain cup games, but, this isn't Make-A-Wish Foundation. You have to be very good at football to play week in, week out for Manchester United. And I just don't know if Ighalo, at his age and at the levels he's at, is good enough to play week in, week out in the Premier League, or even in the Champions League. I think you can use him for some of the cup games to give players a rest, and I think it's good that we've got him for that. I just still feel like we need another striker. I do. I feel like we need another attacking option, and if it's not Jadon Sancho, it needs to be someone else, because if we do get an injury to Mason or Rashford or Martial, I just feel with Ighalo, we're asking a little bit much.
I think it's right-hand side. That we need someone that's going to fit in there, because I think that's where we're short. I think you've got players that Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Ighalo can play as a number 9. And I think that's enough cover there. But if Greenwood doesn't play, you're playing Dan James, who doesn't like to play there. You're playing Rashford, who doesn't like to play there. Or you're playing Lingard, who's not good enough. You play Mata, who is running through custard for most of the time at the minute. He can't... love one Mata, but, you can't have him there. So I think that, like I said, someone's put there, Sancho solves multiple problems. I think that's...
He does. Someone else is saying Machiavelli the Don, which is a great name. Sancho or nothing, in capitals, so he's... Ighalo is third choice, need a second choice. Let us know, who do you think? I've asked the question, someone's answered. Cavani, we were speaking about this last night, didn't we? Edison Cavani, massive wages, coming towards the end of not his career, but the top tier of his career. I don't know about that one. I don't know if he comes in here as a sort of reserve. Someone says Dembele. Which one?
I'm guessing one from Leon.
The Leon one.
Again, it's one of them. With strikers, because there is only one position with it. It is, and Donny van der Beek's come in.
Callum Wilson would be great. Yeah, nice one.
Donny van der Beek's come in and said, and Donny van der Beek's come in as almost cover for those two, but you can almost fit them in. Whereas if you bring in a Dembele, you can't fit him into that team if you want to give him a run of games. If Martial drops out and Dembele comes in, you can't fit that 3 in maybe. Whereas with Van der Beek, you could fit that 3 of Pogba and Bruno into that team. And I think that with a striker, you need a very good number 9. And I'm happy with Ighalo as a backup. I think you've got with Ighalo, Greenwood, that's enough. That's enough for me. Right-hand side is what you need.
Someone in the comments said, sorry I missed the name, said Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Good player, and I like that idea. He's different, but you ain't getting him. You ain't getting him. That's the thing. No. They're bringing in James Rodriguez and Allen and spending money. Yeah. They've got Carlos Ancelotti there. Calvert-Lewin's just had his best season for them, and he's sort of being tipped as a future star at Everton. Yeah. I don't think we're getting him, and I don't think, if he was available on the cheap, maybe. Other people are saying Josh King. Josh King's has done the rounds a lot. Depay looks like he's done at Barca, doesn't he?
Madness.
We spoke about that last night.
Madness, brilliant. I
like Depay, and I think he got a bit of a raw deal, but I don't know if he's going to Barcelona is going to help him or help them, to be honest with you. Someone's saying Douglas Costa. Douglas Costa was doing the rounds, wasn't it?
I like Douglas Costa as the option. If we don't get Sancho, I think as a loan option or a 1-year, 2-year deal kind of thing, I think that wouldn't be too bad for Manchester United.
Someone's Higuain's been doing the rounds as well.
He's gone into Miami today.
Yeah, that's not happening.
And he played for Chelsea and wasn't very good there either. So.
No, I don't think that. So someone's saying Kane. We spoke, right? Speaking Emma and Ange, when they spoke to Chucky, Brian McClare, he said Harry Kane. He said United should go for Harry Kane. Roy Keane, I think, last season was saying United should go.
Harry Kane.
Go out and buy Harry Kane. Well, you don't think it's going to happen. He's injury-wise, he isn't great recently. No. He keeps picking up these injuries, and he'd cost an absolute fortune.
Could you imagine Mourinho selling us his best player as well.
Did you watch the documentary the other night?
Yeah, when he's just going, Harry Kane, you're the best player.
Did you see it when he got injured?
Yeah.
And he saw Mourinho on the training ground saying, "Mate, go, we are fucked."
Yeah. Look, if Harry Kane, if Harry Kane came in, I think obviously the injury thing is a worry, but if you got in 120, if it was 100 million and you got him in and went, look, he's your number 9, I think he'd be fantastic for Man United. I think even last season he scored 20 goals for Spurs, even with missing a lot of the season. I think he'll do that for the rest of his career. I think he will do that, but it's whether you want to do that and break the bank on a centre forward. I don't see it this season. I think Mourinho has to go out the door before we get Harry Kane, because he's just not going to go, oh, that club that sacked us, yeah.
Yeah, you want my best player in the player
absolutely.
That more or less keeps me in a job.
Afloat.
Yeah, not a chance. Someone was saying there, I missed who said it. They said Sarr. I love Ismaila Sarr. I would have him at United if we can't get Sancho. I think he's the type of player as well that ticks so many boxes, because I think he can sort of play out wide and sort of as an inside forward or whatever you want to call it. I think he's 23. Is he still, or 22, 23? He's quite young anyway.
Yeah.
I think he would be happy to be rotated.
Yeah.
I think he goes from Watford to Manchester United and he doesn't feel like, there you go, a Leicester Lingdo. Just said Sarr. Other people mentioned him as well. But I was talking about this I was doing a paper talk a few weeks ago and he was linked with us, and I was all for it because I felt like he was a player that if you don't get Sancho and you get him, that doesn't close the door on Sancho next summer.
No.
It's not like, oh, we bought Sarr for 40 million or 30 million, we're not going to get Jadon Sancho next summer now. I think he's a player as well that's got other levels to reach. We saw against Liverpool, the game he had there, he should have had a hat-trick, he scored a brace. Ticks a lot of boxes for me. And I wouldn't, I want to get Sancho, I'm with you.
Yeah.
100%, Sancho should be the one. But if we don't, I think we need to get someone, and Sarr,
he ticks those boxes, and that is the kind of
other option.
He's the other option of instead of getting someone like Douglas Costa that's kind of a stopgap in terms of he's going to cost us a fortune for a year and then he could potentially go. He's almost a stopgap where you kind of go, do you know, it's a bit of a risk. You're spending 20, 30 million on a player who, could work, could not, and if you sold him on, it wouldn't. You'd probably get a similar kind of.
Sorry, I like Son from Spurs. Only Tottenham player you can get is Son Heung-min. I don't think we're getting anyone from Spurs. We're not getting Son and we're not getting Kane.
No.
Perisic would make sense on loan. I think he's just going somewhere, isn't he? I think he's out the door at Bayern. Talking of being out the door as well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Chris Smalling. We mentioned him last night. There's a story doing the rounds, if I can find it, that Chris Smalling to Roma is back on, and it looks like it's going to happen.
Yep.
We were speaking about this last night, weren't we? About Chris Smalling and him leaving United is no shock, is it really?
No, not in the slightest.
And is it sort of like, c'est la vie sort of thing, good luck?
Definitely. I think
it's Jason Burt, in the Telegraph said that, Chris Smalling is close to a permanent Roma move after missing United training. So it looks like it's about to happen. I think it's
good for United, and I think it's good for Roma. I think it's good for Chris Smalling. I think that if it ticks all the boxes in terms of Chris Smalling, I mentioned it last night. He's a good defender.
We have got a graphic for that as well, by the way.
Yeah, he's a very good defender, but I don't think he's the right player for Manchester United. I don't think he's going to play out from the back well enough. I think there's a reason why you'd go back to the World Cup 2 seasons ago with Gareth Southgate. There's a reason why Phil Jones and Chris Smalling didn't get in that team, and Phil Jones still went to the World Cup. Whilst you think of the levels they're at their career, probably at a similar kind of level. Phil Jones is a better footballer, and that's what England wanted at that point. Same thing with Manchester United. I think that's why Chris Smalling was the first out the door. So I think that if we can get him to Roma,
sorry, Juho1999 says Gareth Southgate is the definition of a wet wipe.
Well, he got it right then. We'll not talk about the fact that he has four
I
left.
I want to ask you about it. I know this is transfer, and he's not necessarily transferred, but Gareth Southgate is, said he's going to have a chat with Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden. We don't need to get into that. What do you think? What do you make of that? Like the fact he's having those chats. Do you think?
Well, there's other players that have done just. You've got Kyle Walker who made the squad. You've got Jack Grealish who eventually made the squad after he broke lockdown rules and stuff all the way through. I think that to have a talk with him, I don't think it needs it. You know, I think that it's been dealt. It should be just dealt with and done. You know, that's what I think. You know, Fergie was the master at that. You know, when things happen, even with Cantona, it just we'll sort it. It's done. That's it. Once he comes back, he comes back. That was what needs to happen. And I think Gareth Southgate, if he makes more out of it, it's going to make more than it needs to.
Yeah, I don't.
And with his England team, I think it's just. I don't know, it's a strange one. You're not telling me Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips are the best two midfielders we've got from England at the minute. That was a bit
bizarre one, and if I cared more about England, I would have been annoyed.
Yeah.
Someone was saying Delafeu as well, if we're going to go down the Watford route. A good player, he did well at... He's always has these sort of purple patches at clubs, Delafeu. He did well at, was it Everton for a little while? He went to Barcelona, did okay for a little while, then sort of fell off the radar a little bit. Went to Watford, has these fits and spells where at one point it looked like he was going to be good enough to keep them up, along with the likes of Sarr and Deeney, but then it didn't happen. Brandon Reisner on the Super Chat said, instead of throwing players in positions they're not meant to play in, let's bring in players meant for those positions. I don't understand why people think that way.
Yeah, there was a little bit of this. United have gone through this kind of pattern with Van Gaal and Mourinho, where they kind of started playing players in strange positions, and you kind of went, what are we doing? And going back to England, you know, playing Kieran Trippier as a left back, when there's left backs that have had decent seasons for England that didn't get in. And I think that you're right. I think that, and this is where I go back to the right hand side for Manchester United. I think you need someone that is comfortable playing on the right hand side, and I think that's what we're missing. That's why Sancho put him in there. And Sarr as well from Watford. Someone that is comfortable on that right hand side just automatically makes everyone better, makes that team better, balances the team out. You know, less pressure on Wan-Bissaka to be the one putting the crosses in. It's someone else on that right hand side.
Yeah, someone else mentioned about Delafeu, who plays mainly as a left wing for Watford. I don't think we need another left wing, and he's injured right now, so that sort of torpedoes that idea.
There you go.
Out of the window. Cillian Wallace said, could we include Romero in Kante offer, maybe 40 million plus Romero? Just regardless of whether, you know, it's part of the Kante deal, which is, you know, it's a fair point. Do you think Romero could be used as part of a deal? Because if he is surplus to requirements, goalkeepers of that level are in such short supply. You look at it and you talk about Chelsea, he could do a job there. You talk about, there's a lot of other clubs. I mean, I think if Sergio Romero, I think he gets into probably, 15 of the Premier League teams.
Easily, I think that.
Other than maybe, City,
Liverpool. Arsenal have got a good keeper. I think Leno's a good keeper for Arsenal. Apart from them, definitely gets into most teams in the Premier League. I think he should be used as a deal. I don't think he's going to. We can't keep him, surely. You know, if you brought Henderson back, I said we're spending 600 grand a week on keepers, not including Lee Grant at the minute. We need to get rid of one of them off the wage bill, and it's not going to be Henderson. It's not going to be De Gea this summer. So, I think definitely try and move him on. And if he can be used as part of a deal, because that's the thing at the minute with all these clubs. United are obviously talking about the Sancho deal, not wanting to spend as much cash right now. They want to do things like that. If it's, we mentioned Grealish yesterday to Villa, maybe that's the option. Not going to Watford with being relegated, but there's all these different things. Chelsea definitely after a keeper. You can get a player like Kante with and sort it out with Romero. I don't think that's the worst thing.
No, I mean, you're right, and it's like, I was saying it a little while ago that I thought when we were in for Grealish that maybe it could be Romero, even Romero and Smalling and money.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or however you did it, I think you could have done it somehow, and where you offered him players and money for someone like Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
It was happy days all round, but for whatever reason, the whole Grealish thing seems to have sort of died on its arse now.
There's a question there. Why not Depay?
Why not Depay? Is this stopped, by the way, on the chat on the screen?
I think it has.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem to be up to date with ours.
Yeah.
Why not Depay? Well, for starters, he's going to Barcelona, and secondly, we saw at Old Trafford, it just didn't work out for him. And you can argue, you can say, okay, he was young, he's a bit older now, he's had more experience, he's played a lot of football at Lyon and done very well. He's played in the Champions League a lot for them as well and done very well. But, he's also been making his hip-hop videos and his Insta stuff, which is fine, but I don't see him suddenly changing when he comes back to United and not being like that. And that was one of the things that upset a lot of people at the club last time round.
I don't think there's a problem. I don't think there's a problem with Depay, what he does off the field, but I think that there's a problem at Manchester United doing that, and I think that, Paul Pogba's done absolutely nothing wrong in his time at United and been slated somehow for going to his brother's wedding and stuff
I've
like
read
that.
that out, by the way.
He's been slated for going to his brother's wedding. So you kind of go, Memphis Depay making music videos probably isn't going to go down well. And look, we don't know how United are going to get on next season, but any kind of dip in form, football Twitter, everything like that, absolutely jumps on them kind of players. And you can just see United bring in Depay.
United lose away at Newcastle and Depay's making a video outside Manchester Airport in front of a private plane, blinged up like he was in that one we saw last night.
Oh,
Can you imagine? I think the internet would melt.
Yeah, let's not.
So,
Good luck to Depay at Barcelona. That's about it.
it's weird with Depay, right? We've had this with number 7s, and it's like, this is why I think I'm so desperate for Sancho to come, because we had Di Maria at the time. I know you're shugging and shaking.
No, but to be honest, he looked good for a lot of the time.
Yeah, he did. Di Maria.
Yeah.
We got him. He came in, big player from Real Madrid. Everyone was like, yeah, number 7. Started off really well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Player of the month, I think he was in his first month, and then the wheels came off massively. It didn't help that he was moved as well. He was moved around the positions. He was played up front at one point, which is just ridiculous.
And I think there was personal stuff as well. I think
Yeah,
his house getting broken into and things like that. I think there is a bit of it. I think that these documentaries that are coming out now, the Tottenham thing, kind of makes you kind of look at professional footballers a bit more now and kind of see that there's a lot more human stuff to it than what's going on.
Me and you were speaking about this a few months ago, weren't we, about Dan James saying, he'd lost his dad.
Just 21 years old.
He's got his move to United, and it's like, obviously his dad was a big part of his life and his footballing life. It affects you, doesn't it? And it affects you in different ways, and it's sometimes, just because you're playing well one week doesn't mean it's not with you.
No.
You saw him when he was crying when he scored his first goal, and I don't mean that just means, okay, then he just stays in the United team forever.
I think
but you got to give him a bit of
there's
leeway.
That. And I said, going back to the document, going back to the All or Nothing with Alderweireld when he signed, he had the little clip of him signing his contract, and it, for as much as these guys make a lot of money, and he kind of went, but that's me sorted and in London now for the rest of my kids' childhood. And there's loads of things like that people go, it doesn't really matter that much if they move around. Well, no, it does. And these kids at school and stuff. He's now signed there because you look at Vertonghen that's left this year and can't do that. There's a lot of that, and I think that was a lot of what happened to Di Maria. He never settled in Manchester. He said the wrong things afterwards, and I'm never going to forgive him for that.
Like it either, does it?
And Mrs. hated it,
just getting on the comments on Facebook as well. There's a lot of people watching on Facebook. We appreciate that. As guys as well, don't forget to hit like as well. Michael Bastien says, get Sancho and Upamecano, and we can call it a good transfer. 100%.
Yep, definitely.
100%. Another one, there's a few people have mentioned this on the YouTube comments, is Zaha. Talking of former players. Wilfried Zaha, do you know what? Someone will probably dig it out, so I may as well own it up. I think it was last summer, actually. I said I'd take him back at Old Trafford. I don't know, things have changed now. This was before the emergence of Mason Greenwood and the fact that we had sort of Martial down the middle and Marcus on the left. And I was thinking, if it was something like 30-40 million for Zaha or 40 million for Zaha, I think he could come back. But I don't know now. I don't think that's probably going to happen. I don't think it should.
I hate to go into stats because I think there's so much more to football than stats and stuff. But I think he had like 4 goals and 4 assists last season.
He didn't. His 2 seasons ago was a lot better than last season.
Yeah, but I just think that, do you know what? It doesn't matter how Palace finished quite high up in the end. They finished 11th to 12th, and if you're their best player, finishing 12th in the league, you should be doing better than that. And for as much as there was...
Well, it's like Ayew had a better season, I think, last season.
Yeah.
And he had other players that
and I think that for as much as...
It wasn't just about him.
I think Zaha was one of the ones... I think there's been a few players that... I think Depay was one of them as well. With our changing of managers, changing of systems and changing of everything that's gone on, kind of got hurt by that. And he was one of the ones that got hurt with... Moyes came in, didn't quite work, and he couldn't... It felt like he couldn't risk him because Moyes was just full panic stations and couldn't throw him in there. It
annoyed me because we had Januzaj and not Zaha. We never had them both together. No. Zaha barely got a chance.
So there was that. And then when Van Gaal came in, didn't fancy him, moved him on, and that was it. And you kind of think that, do you know what? If Ollie was the manager then, maybe players like Depay might have done a little bit better. Zaha might have done a little bit better. But I think that time's gone. I don't think he's... he doesn't score enough goals, and I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, no, you're right. Someone's asking about the Kante news. Just to recap, there was reports in Italy that Kante had been linked with United. Inter Milan have gone in from the bid with Christian Eriksen. That hasn't happened. Chelsea not interested. United being linked with him. We'll have to wait and see. Looks unlikely, but not impossible. Other stories that we've been covering tonight as well with Thiago. It looks like he's going to go to Liverpool. We know that they were always favourites to sign him, but at one point it looked like United were in for him. Now the latest is that Liverpool are more or less, they're almost there, aren't they, in terms of getting that deal done. Chris Smalling looks like he's heading to Roma. Again, not the most shocking news, but I don't think he was at United training today, so the sort of the latest is that that move is edging ever nearer a permanent deal. And also, we know that Alex Telles has been offered to United, or he's been linked with United. Seems a little bit like, agents and whoever saying, get United involved. Don't know how solid the interest is there. Still being linked with Sergio Reguilon as well. So it's all just sort of links and rumours and stories and reports without anything concrete. And in terms of Jadon Sancho, because people are still asking, I don't want to say. You used to say no news is good news, but it's not really. It's just
we need news now.
Yeah, we need something to happen, because at the moment there hasn't been anything. We had a bit of an update last night that agent fees and the player and everything else was happy, except the fee, which we kind of know anyway. Yeah. They want 108 million. We wanted to give them 90 and 18 in incentives. They're saying no. Dortmund digging the reels in. So it's still sort of. It's a waiting game, and it's who's going to blink first. Are Dortmund going to say, okay, give us the 90 million? Are United going to say, okay, here's your 108 million? Do we do all this again next summer? I hope not, for God's sake. Or do
January.
January,
Great in January, aren't
we? Guys, don't forget to hit like as well. Thanks for getting involved in the comments. Loads of great comments, loads of great suggestions, loads of good chat as well. It's Joe tomorrow night with Late Night Live, innit?
Yeah.
And we've got some proper loser on in the news in the morning. Who's doing the news in the morning?
That's me, mate. I'll be back giving you your usual weather report outside Old Trafford, as well as the breaking news from the morning. Just
before we go, someone's got in a super chat quickly. Brandon says Sancho is a must. Playing an interchangeable front three with the creativity even of Pogba and Bruno already is deadly. Add Sancho on right, maybe Kante as a CDM, then a left back and left-footed centre back, and we are set.
Easy as that.
Easy as that. Guys, I've been Jay, that's been Baggers. This has been Stretford Paddock Transfers Live. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.